Thank you for waiting patiently. I'd like to call the regular session meeting to order. Ms. Garcia, please note the attendance. The City Council Redevelopment Successor Agency Financing Authority. Today, April 21, 2015, at approximately 6:53 p.m. I'd like everyone to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I believe before we go into the invocation, I would defer to our city attorney for items discussed in closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council met in closed session on agenda item 1 in closed session. The council voted 3-2 to terminate our services. We will stay on for a period of 30 or more days to assist the city on a transition. The vote was the 3 in favor of termination. The mayor, Ms. Hurtado, and Mr. Real. The noes were Mr. Kim and Mr. Castro. We will stay on and assist the city in any way we can, and it's my understanding that you will start a process for purposes of soliciting new law firms to fill the position.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, City Attorney. At this time, I'd like to call up Pastor Hugo Guillen from Seventh-day Adventist Church to give us the invocation.
Let's bow our heads for prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, in the powerful name of Jesus, we pray that tonight you may extend your arm and take hold of us, helping us to stand, for we have slipped and fallen. Give us tonight your spirit of courage, so that we may not break in the midst of the storms. Give us tonight your spirit of wisdom, for the understanding of absolute reality and the knowledge of absolute truth belong only to you. Give us tonight your spirit of true leadership, which is one of humility, compassion, gracefulness, honesty, transparency, and unity. May the goal tonight be that as community leaders, we look to attain the well-being of the community of Calexico. Yes, Lord, help us to stand and stand together. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Guillen. Now I'd like to entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Hurtado. Is there a second? I'll second.
I have questions.
I didn't second for discussion, however.
Do I have the right to discussion or not?
You
Questioning.
you have a question on the approval of the agenda?
Yes.
All right, you may ask your question.
I believe Mr. Leal and I we agreed to put the agenda and declare the fiscal emergencies. And without any responded, they ignored the agenda. So, Mr. Moreno, you're the one mayor. You have, I believe, by our city ordinance, so you have a final say. So, I'd like to know why they're not on the agenda, fiscal emergencies.
Mr. Kim, I called you on Monday of this week. No, last week. I left a message on your phone. I wanted you to discuss some of the agenda items that you wanted, but I never received a phone call back.
No, you didn't mention, you didn't left the message. I have a recording here. You didn't left the, you want to talk about some contract.
That was an agenda
some contract you want to discuss with me. So I feel like I'm breaking Brown Act, so I didn't call
Just you and me.
Yeah, but I heard you talking, you talk with somebody else.
I didn't talk to anybody else about that item.
So I didn't call it back because I
Well, you
don't
could
want
have
to
called me back and said that, you know what, I think we're violating the Brown Act. I'm not going to discuss this with you.
I already told the messenger to tell
Okay, well,
to you. But
Be
anyhow,
that as it may, Mr. Kim, I did reach out to you, and I asked you a question about an agenda item that you wanted to put on. So
No.
please don't tell me or the public that you asked for this item and didn't get it on. The item that you asked for, which is the financial fiscal crisis, I asked for backup.
no, you didn't tell me anything on that.
I asked for backup, or I told city clerk that unless there was some backup information, which is clearly stated.
She
in
told
our-
me today,
Well, this was a week Monday ago.
yesterday, yeah.
Right. No, a week Monday ago.
No,
All
she
right.
just told me
It wasn't
yesterday.
yesterday, it was a week ago. And I asked our city clerk, and she can attest to it, that I was in her office, and I was asking her if Mr. Kim had brought backup information for his, and you said you were going to contact him. That's all I asked. You're calling for a fiscal emergency. I want to know why.
Because I cannot talk to more than one council member. That's why I cannot talk with the.
But you didn't talk to me, you talked to her, and I talked to her.
No, well, the same things, like she's breaking the brown legs.
Well, I'm sorry, but I don't mind meeting with you in a briefing with city manager to discuss items that you want on the agenda. That way,
Well,
I understand what you...
I spoke with Mr. Leal, I sent us an email, he agreed, we wanted to put it on the agenda.
All right.
We don't have to get a permit from the city manager.
No, but I want to know why you want to put an item. It has, in my opinion, there has to be merit, there has to be backup information. You know, I don't want to cause a fiscal emergency if I don't have backup information.
At the meeting, we can discuss.
No. Before the meeting. Just like you want backup information on many items that are on the agenda,
Okay,
so do I.
backup document is not my job. Backup document is the city staff's job to put it on.
Okay, well, you're calling for a fiscal emergency, and
Well, city
I
staff,
want to
they
know
can put
why.
on
All I want to know was why.
because we're not in good condition. We're spending money, supposed not spending.
Do you have backup information for that?
Oh, we have money spending. We
Do you have
have
backup information? Simple question.
a simple question. We have
Do you have backup information for that? It's a simple question. Yes or no?
I don't have a backup.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on.
We're not on the meeting.
We're going to
today.
move on. Is any other question you like, Mr. Kim?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Then I'll call for the question on the approval of the agenda today.
Okay.
Please vote. The motion carries 4-1 with Mr. Kim in opposition. Announcements. These proceedings may be viewed on the City of Calexico website at calexico.ca.gov the Friday following the City Council meetings. Number 3, or the next item is awards, presentations, appointments, and proclamations. You have before you the Veterans Appreciation Month for 2015. And I will start to my furthest left with Mr. Real reading number 1, and so on and so forth.
Whereas the people of Imperial Valley appreciate and admire the thousands of men and women who served in the armed forces to protect and preserve their country and their freedoms enjoyed by all Americans, and
Whereas in war, international conflicts, and peacekeeping missions, men and women have been wounded, taken as prisoners, and died in the line of duty. And
Whereas veterans possess a wide variety of valuable qualities, including experience, maturity, leadership, and loyalty, that make them ideal candidates for employment. And
Whereas the City of Calexico is committed to ensuring that veterans receive the service and the programs to which they are entitled, and to promoting employer interest in hiring veterans. And
Whereas during the Veterans Appreciation Month, state and local agency increase employers' awareness about the benefit of hiring veterans. And
now therefore I, John Moreno, Mayor of the City of Calexico, on behalf of the Calexico City Council, do hereby proclaim May 2015 as Veterans Appreciation Month. In witness whereof I hereunto fix my signature and official seal of the City of Calexico on the 21st day of April 2015. Is there a veteran that would like to receive that? Yes, sir. May begin.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and the citizens of Calexico. My name is Lynn McAllister. I'm a retired United States Marine, and I have the privilege of assisting veterans with finding employment here in the county. There's two of us, and I will have to say that I've done this for the last two, this is my third year now. It's the first time I've had council members actually read the proclamation. I'm honored that you all went through the words and did that for the citizens that are here in attendance, and maybe I'll get the Board of Supervisors to do the same thing on the 5th of May.
Okay.
It's always a challenge trying to assist anyone from finding employment because a lot of times employment can change someone's lives, and especially young veterans or veterans that we're really targeting are recently separated. That's anyone within the last 3 years, but it is a privilege, and we hear and we do support them, whether it's the citizens of the different cities or the our partnering agencies or the vet staff that work at EDD. That's our primary goal, is connect people with training and with work. And like I said, it's not always easy. So any warm gestures are always appreciated. Now, this gesture here from the City of Calexico and the ones that we received from the Board of Supervisors and the various cities will be on display at the EDD during the month of May, and also during our Veteran Appreciation Ceremony in Imperial, May the 12th. So again, I just want to say thank you to the mayor and the citizens, and if you can, always thank a veteran. Any gesture is greatly appreciated.
Thank you, sir. And now I'd like to call up the Calexico Police Officers Association for their presentation.
Thank you, distinguished members of the council. My name is Sean Acuna. I'm the CPOA president, and just want to give a brief presentation. I know we gave a press conference earlier in the month, or back in March, but just wanted to, introduce myself. I am the CPOA president of the association. I have my vice president, Armando Orozco, off to the side there, and one of my board members, Sergeant Victor Legaspi. And I just want to report, or I'm very pleased to report, as of late, we have established an open dialogue with the city, where, obviously, relations with the former CPO administration had become strained, and there was no more dialogue or communication. And I'm pleased to report that we've reestablished that with Mr. Warren. And we look forward to collaborating with the city, working together, and meeting the needs of our community. Okay. By working together, coming up with goals and solutions. Another thing I wanted to talk about is, I know recently there was a report in the Ivy Press where the United States Department of Justice had come to Calexico, and I think a lot of people have a misperception that they came here to do a cleaning of the house or a negative connotation. But you know what? As CPOA, and I know the members, we fully support their presence here. They're actually here to do something really good. They're basically going to be here between 7 to 9 months. They're going to conduct an assessment of the police department, okay, and they're going to make recommendations on what we can do to improve our department, okay. And I know I speak for every member of the CPOA. This is definitely a progressive step, okay, to making our department the premier department in Southern California. The Las Vegas Metro Police Department underwent an evaluation and assessment by the U.S. DOJ, as well as the Philadelphia Police Department, and Las Vegas Metro PD adopted 97% of the recommendations that DOJ recommended. Okay, so this is something positive. This is not a negative connotation on the city or the police department. It's the first step in making us a progressive agency. So we look forward to that.
Is that all, Mr. Acuna?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for that presentation.
Thank you.
Mayor, I would just like to add that we have had a couple of meetings with the representatives from the Calexico Police Officers Association. I just want to report to you and the public that those meetings were very, very positive, and thank you very much for working with us. And we look forward to working with you together on issues of mutual concern, and thank you for your willingness to work with us.
Thank you. I'm sorry you left so suddenly. Is there any questions we have for Ms. Officer Acuna? Seeing that there is none, we'll
I
move
think
on.
just a comment would be to say it's very refreshing, the professionalism. It's a very refreshing new attitude, and it's very appreciated, I know, by this council, certain members on the council, and our public.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Feeling is mutual.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I have, I see Jason Jung out there on public comments. He's outside the city hall, but I'll get to Mr. Esparza, who wanted to speak on public comments. Any particular item, or is it just public comments? Is it on public comments or a particular item? Oh, okay. Okay, well, Mr. Jung is back, and I'll read the disclaimer. Public comments and public appearances. Note, not to exceed 3 minutes. This is a time for the public to address the City Council on any item not appearing on the agenda, that is, when the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name and place of residence for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. And I have 3 police officers here, just in case things do get out of hand. If the item you wish to comment on is a closed session or consent item, please comment now. The City Council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. If the item you wish to comment on is on the public portion of the agenda, we will take your comment when we get to the item on the agenda. Please always direct your questions and comments to the City Council. And I believe Mr. Jason Jung is the first one. And Mr. Kim, if you can reset the timer. Mr. Jung, you may begin.
All right. Hello, everyone. I was here last week in reference to the city of Calexico or city officials committing crimes of extortion, fraud, and conspiracy. I requested it be put on the agenda, and I put in a request, and I didn't hear back, and now I'm told I'm not on the agenda. It seems like the city council only wants to talk about peaches and roses, things that are convenient for them. But when it comes to a matter that is affecting the citizens of Calexico by these public officials, you guys don't want to do anything about it. So I'm taking my 3 minutes, and I'm going to say, and I'll resubmit to be put on the agenda to discuss this, because I think it's an issue that needs to be brought forth, and people need to be placed on administrative leave, as you guys did at the police department when there was corruption over there, because there is corruption here. People are doing whatever they want under the color of public office. And those individuals are Mr. Servine, Mr. Quinn, who are very incompetent at their jobs. And I have all the paperwork, and I submitted it to each one of you guys to review. And everything's there, and everything's documented. So hopefully at the next city council meeting, my matter will be on the agenda to be discussed in detail. That's it. Thank you.
Yes, and I believe this is the, Mr. Jung, this is the document that you did have submitted? Okay. I checked my mailbox and it's in there. to get this. All right. Thank you very much for that. Now we have for public comments, we have, I'm assuming, Mr. Peroni, this is for public comments, right? Okay, before you will be Mr. Angel Esparza. Please reset the timer.
Angel Esparza, 1049 Sput Moreno. Good afternoon, honorable council, men and women. I just came to update you guys on the State of the City address video. This has been by far the most engaging State of the City address. We posted on our Facebook page, so we would make sure that our community would be reached. And this is what it accomplished. We got a combined 311 shares, 486 comments, most of them on the positive aspect and the people showing pride, 2,400 likes, and a total of 19,000 video views. So the purpose of the ending statement was to not just focus on the positive and growth, but most importantly, make our community aware about the unique experience that we have and bring pride to our city. And hopefully inspire the community to be more involved, become aware of our issues, and work together to help this great city grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Esparza. And I do appreciate your creative genius behind this. You did an excellent job. Working with you is very inspiring. So thank you very much. And we have Mr. Alex Peroni, former mayor of the city of Calexico.
Honorable Mayor and City Council. John, I wanted to thank you for the time you took to meet in regards to the water payment drop box. You know, it was taken off, and it's a drop box that brings convenience to our senior citizens, to people that don't like to put a stamp on an envelope, or that they just like that system. And I'd like to thank Mr. Mandy Real. He also took time, and we discussed it. And I discussed it with the city manager, and thank you, Mr. City Manager. We discussed it, and I hope we come to a resolution that serves the people and not the ideals of one person. So also, John, it was inspirational, your tremendous speech, and it shows us what we're made of here in Calexico. And I've told you, John, that you come from a special fabric, the Moreno family. You have history here. And we see the legacy that the families left and other families that have built Calexico. And I hope we continue to unify ourselves and take all the division away and bring that unity and become strong like we were in the past, where everybody said hello to each other and greeted, and we moved forward for the betterment of Calexico. And every decision that you make, may it be yours, and don't be influenced by anybody, but by yourself. And I'm talking to all the city council. That's something, there needs to be a balance, what is good for your people and what is good for government. And I encourage you to do the right thing and don't be influenced. God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Peroni. Very nice words. Do you have any Kleenex over here, Mr. Kim? That is all we have for the public comments. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Romo, I have you for items 15 and 16. Oh, and public comments. Sorry, Mr. Romo. Okay.
Good evening, members of the City Council, Councilwoman Hurtado, Mr. City Manager, Council, the City Clerk, and most important, our assembly here, which is the citizens of Calexico. I don't really want to say too much because what I really want to say it's in, the other line items, the agenda. I just want to say that I concur that you should all be working together. You know, that's it. We have a lot of projects in mind. We have a growing community. We have everything that's going up, and I think that by pointing fingers, which I have to say that I don't deal with personalities. I deal with just the issues at hand. I don't deal about hearsay and anything like that. So, and I'm wishing that everyone would do that. It's just my hope. And I know that the city's heading into the right direction. And I hope that you can all, at some point, come to an understanding of what is right and what's wrong. It's just the city is getting better, and so just keep it that way. You know, I've heard some good comments. You know, that's especially the POA. You know, I really love that. I have some more to say, but there's really no need to. You know, just thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Romo, and you'll be placed on the 15 and 16 as well. Okay. City Council comments and reports of meetings attended. I'll change it up a bit. You'll have 4 minutes today, if you need that extra minute. Is that okay with you?
Sounds good.
Okay. So, Mr. Kim, let me the timer, and I'll change it for you. We go back to 0 reset, and then you set minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got it? Who would like to start? You have 4 minutes. All right, I'll start. First of all, I'd like to thank all of the people and all of the, the people that attended and viewed the State of the City address on YouTube through the help of CoCLXC and Angel Esparza. Go ahead and start timing me. It was a great experience. I hope that we, as a community, do come together sometime soon in the future. There's just a lot of issues that need to be addressed. There's a lot of personalities that need to build bridges with. It's going to be difficult. If we can't build a bridge, then we have to agree to that. And I hope that this council clearly understands their role to agree to disagree on items if that is necessary. I'd also like to say that I did attend Arbor Day at the Espinosa Park in the Kennedy Gardens under the leadership of Javier Gonzalez. I know that Mr. Mandy Real was there and Mr. Luis Castro. They were there with their shovels. I told them, bring the shovels to the meeting because there's a lot of stuff that needs shoveling up here. But anyway, I wanted to thank all of you and all the residents of Kennedy Gardens for taking the lead in planting trees and being conscious of our environment, as well as the Girl Scouts. There was two troops out there that also learned the importance of being environmentally friendly and planting trees. So thank you very much for that. At this time, that's all I have to say. And I'm encouraging our city manager to bring back that drop box for the payments to see how we can get that back up there. I know the community is ready for that. I know that when we had the supermarket on 2nd and Heber, we had a drop box for people to drop off their bills. We took water, we took cable, we took light, we took utility, everything. So please, let's bring it back. Let's see what we can put out there. If there needs to be a sign that says any payments received after 5 p.m. on that day up will go on the following day. And that at 5 o'clock, you empty all the payments, or at 4:30, just like the post office does. If you don't get it there by 4:30, pues ni modo. It goes on the next day. And I think we can do that for our citizens. And I agree with Mr. Peroni. Thank you. That's all I have. Who's next? Nobody? Okay, then we'll go on to the consent calendar. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll take that. I'll set it for you.
First of all, I agree to Mr. Moreno. That's, for me, is the the nonsense to remove the drop box. And I know the city manager doesn't have to consult with the council every single, but for someone doesn't know about this town and doing some kind of a nonsense business. And I attended Imperial Valley Air Quality Control Board. I attended April 15. I addressed the issues about the field burning, and I asked them to put on the next meeting. So they were saying so much data from the borders, that's why it causing the asthma. But I told them the statistic always can be lie or can be correct. Depends on who's put it in. And what I know, when the field burning, our asthma attack go very high. And the other one is, someone might not gonna like it. I'd like to have some fellow council member and agree in this one. Maybe they might not. I'm requesting the special meeting on April 23rd, 2015, 6 p.m. at the City Hall. Number one, the public employee dismissal, dismissal, release, Government Code 54957B, title interim city manager. Number two, public employee employments, Government Code 54957B, title interim city manager / city manager. Number three, Calexico City Council to declare on physical emergency due to the city of Calexico bad economy and the city financial status. Do I have some concur with this council member? So nobody concur with it. So if you don't guys back up, we cannot have the meeting. Okay?
I believe we can meet with our city manager, you and I, and discuss this. I'm not sure if there needs to be a special meeting unless there's an absolute emergency, but
Well,
we can...
because we see a lot of crazy things right now.
Okay.
It's hurting the city's future and now and future.
Okay, I know this is your 4 minutes, but I would recommend that let us meet, all three of us.
I still waiting for this fellow council members to
Okay.
concur or not.
You asked me, so I gave you the answer.
So, Mr. Alman, Mandy, you agree with?
I am concerned about the economy. I don't agree with calling a state of emergency as of right now. I believe we should look at our finances before we jump the gun to call a state of emergency, and I do have an agenda item that could probably
Mr.
work
Castro?
on that.
I have three items. Public employee discipline, dismissal, release, and appointments. I said the public employment discipline and dismissal, release, the city manager, interim city manager. Number two, public employee appointment, interim city manager / city manager. So no one not agree with that? Okay.
Definitely, Mayor, I'm concur with Mr. King on those issues. I believe there is some huge financial problem that we have here in the city of Calexico, and I would support that items.
Okay, so, like I said, Mr. Kim, I'd like to meet with you next week, or sometime maybe later this week, to find out exactly what it is you'd like and what it is you're looking for. Is that okay?
That's what I'm looking for this. The discipline, the dismissal, release, interim city manager.
Okay. So let's set up a meeting, you and I.
So I only have one council member concur.
You have Mr. Castro concur.
Yeah, so we should put in the next agenda then. If not, next agenda.
Okay. Well, we'll meet.
By the city ordinance, the council member can concur with the fellow council member. It should be in the agenda, next meeting agenda.
Okay.
Attorney, how many council members need to concur to have it on the agenda?
2 city council members have to concur at a public meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if they
Should be there.
two concurred, it has to be on the agenda next
Yes.
council meeting.
Pursuant to the agenda policy.
Okay, so
Section 3B.
submit that form to Mr. Warren, and we'll get it on the agenda for the next regular session. Submit it to Ms. Garcia as well. Do
Yeah.
you have a copy for Ms. Garcia? You have a copy for each of us?
I have a, sure. I may have plenty of it.
And for clarification, you all have it before you. 2 items. 3 items.
So I have a Mr. Castro's concurrence to be put on agenda next meeting.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, sure.
I just have a question with regard to the manner in which agenda items are being requested here at the dais.
You can defer that to our city attorney.
If the council members then are insisting that we have a financial crisis, for example, and we've already discussed this a couple of times, that we would like to see evidence of their position. If council members
Well,
are asking, if council members
Sure,
are
3
asking
minutes.
for the item at this moment here at the dais, we will go through this regular process where there will be a preparation of documentation to support the item so that there's a full discussion and not just based on the council member's opinion?
It's to put it on the agenda. There will still have to be a motion at the public meeting.
I
There will
mean
be
the
discussion,
backup,
but there will have
because
to ultimately be a motion. If you look at section
I'm speaking,
Calexico,
I'm sorry, I'm speaking about the backup, because the difference of opinion, or actually it's not even opinion, but we feel that the financial crisis, there is no financial crisis. And if we're going to bring such a controversial issue to the table, I believe that it would be fair to the citizens that there be some type of supporting documentation as to what the position is of bringing such a controversial item forward. Will we be going through that type of process anyway?
I'm assuming the staff would bring some
Yes.
documentation? Is that
Staff
correct?
supposed to build the documentation.
But this is something being brought by the council members, not by staff.
I'm reading from 3B. It says, any council member may place an item on
But that's not
the
the question.
upcoming council agenda.
The question is that in preparing, the process is a little different. What's going on here is that there's been an item being requested here at the dais. So usually you prepare, the city manager, the mayor, they prepare all the backup documentation so everybody can view it, the citizens can view it. When it's being requested, an item's being requested by council members in this manner, will there also be backup documentation?
I would suggest there should be.
Of course.
But this policy does not mandate backup documentation. This
But
is
would it be
simply
your
putting
recommend-
something on the agenda to make it meaningful. I think you would want the backup information.
Okay.
Okay. He's declaring a fiscal emergency due to the city of Calexico bad economy and city financial status. Okay. And number B, item 3, which is the agenda policy. Any council member, just what Mr. Beamer said? With the concurrence of another member. Okay. You still have a minute and a half.
Let me,
Okay.
let me add one thing that the city council, Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
let me add one other caveat to what the city council did. You recall that we used to have an item called future agenda items, and you as a city council voted that before anything could go on the agenda, that it had to be gone through our office and vetted,
Well,
regardless excuse me, because there is a vote, and it is on the record. So I guess what I'm saying is that this item has, the agenda policy was amended by a vote of the city council. And I think that's only fair to spring an item, regardless of what it is, on the city council at the dais without any backup or any preparation is not fair to anybody. And it doesn't matter what it is. And the reason why you changed the policy by majority vote was so that there would be appropriate vetting and gathering of information prior to an item actually going on the agenda, so that you actually voted to change the process where items would not be put on the agenda from the dais of the city council, and there is a vote on that.
We voted to remove the future agenda presenting time. Not, we didn't change the city ordinance. So don't try to act like a lawyer.
Is that
We-
correct, Attorney?
No,
I mean, so if those items won't be on the agenda because of.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is I know he's quoting from this thing, but you've amended the item.
Okay, here,
No,
this
we
is
did not
this is
amend
what it
anything.
says,
We
Mr.
just
Kim.
removed it from the future agenda item.
me
So
read
did we vote to remove,
Future agenda items,
yes, but did we vote to change,
the ordinance.
rules? The ordinance?
And the ordinance reads like this. Adopted August 2008. Any council member may place an item on an upcoming council agenda item by either submitting a written request to the city manager as described below or requesting at a council meeting with the concurrence of one other council member that an item be placed on a future agenda. A future agenda doesn't necessarily mean the next one. If a council member proceeds under option 1 above, the written request for the agenda item must be made to the city manager no later than the agenda deadline discussed in section 1, the Friday before the Friday prior to the Tuesday meeting, with proof that one of the council member has consented to the item being placed on the agenda. The written request shall include any proposed background material for the item. The council member's written request shall then be submitted to the mayor. If the mayor approves the written request to be placed on the agenda, the item will be placed on the agenda as requested. I'm asking you, Mr. Kim, to provide me backup information for item number 3 of your request.
My backup document, year budget.
Mr. Kim, I'm simply requesting,
Yes,
just
Mr.
like the ordinance says,
Yeah, year budget.
well,
Our
then
budget.
you need to submit that to me.
Oh, we have a budget. Wait a minute. We say city has budget.
Mr. Kim,
Well, the city budget.
just like you, I want to follow this policy.
Yes, I said the city budget
And it's
is my
real
backup
simple.
documents.
The written request shall include. It doesn't say may include. It
Okay.
says shall include.
I'm not
Let me
re-
finish, sir. Any proposed background material for the item.
I'm
So
not-
please.
I'm not playing
if
as a
you-
written request. I'm playing as a city meeting, council meeting
Right,
requested the
and
agenda.
I, as the mayor,
Wait a
am
minute.
asking for background information.
My background is
Thank
from
you.
our city budget. That's
Thank
it.
you. We'll move on. Did everybody get a chance there 4 minutes?
Not me, Mayor. Can I?
Okay, Mr. Castro, you may begin.
Okay, yes, I would like to congratulate all the people who participate on the car show in the last Saturday here in Calexico. They did a beautiful event, and also I saw a lot of people from the city of Calexico, employees. That kind of event is a great thing for Calexico. But at the same time, we need to look to how to maintain the restrooms from downtown area, and especially in those events, and because this is city, it's a border town. So my question is, it's been like probably 3 weeks ago that we didn't maintain, as a city, maintain the restroom in downtown area. And I sent some information related to that to the mayor and city manager. And those kind of issues is something embarrassing. And I would like to hear from the city manager what happened that day, because those restaurant was faulty and dirty and everything. I sent some photos that one of the people who went to the show, they sent me those photos. So I would like to hear from I would like to hear from city manager what's going on, what happened that day.
You sent me a text. I checked with Public Works. They said the restrooms were clean prior to the car show. And, we do the best we can, but in the downtown area, it's very hard to keep the restrooms clean unless we were to post somebody there 24 hours a day. And we did send you that text to explain what took place, but I did check with Public Works.
I understand that, Mr. City Manager, but this is, like I told you, this is a border town, and either we need the restroom for 24 hours, we need to look to move forward on that issue, because we need to look for options, not because the people are kind of, they don't care about the restrooms. There is people who care about the restrooms, and there is a need for that. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Who would like to go next? Next, Ms. Hurtado or Mr. Real?
I will.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to say thank you very much to the Department of Justice and the U.S. Attorney's Office for their visit on April the 14th. We had 2 visits with them. The first one was a media conference, and the second was a meeting with the stakeholders of the City of Calexico, and it was a very good explanation as to where we stand at this point. And basically what the Department of Justice is looking for, as our president of our POA is saying, is to assess, to understand how the City of Calexico's police department arrived to such a big issue, losing 6 officers out of a force of 30-something. So they want to learn from us of our experience, what it is that happened to us, and to be able to take those experiences so that other departments can learn from as well. We also had the Imperial Valley Mexicali Binational Group meeting where we heard from our New River Committee. Our New River Committee is looking for assistance to be able to initiate their plans and their projects. And so it was a really good meeting. It was mostly about a lot of the different plans coming in for the new port of entry. With regard to the comments that Mr. Castro has said and does consistently say, and I think we all know that the City of Calexico does have very unique issues as far as cleanliness. I visited the Mission Bay beach yesterday on a Monday. As you know, I do taxes, so I took a couple of days off, and I visited the beach. And that was Monday around 11 o'clock in the morning after the weekend, where heavy amounts of people visit the beach. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to say something a little negative, but it did also smell like urine. I saw a lot of trash in the streets. I saw a lot of cigarette butts everywhere and trash. And it wasn't the beach that you usually probably see on the weekends when everyone's out there having a great time. I noticed what was left over, the footprint of all of those visitors that visited the beach. And I realized that those areas are very similar to Calexico. It has a heavy amount of use. Calexico does not have that many residents, but it is basically abused by all of the individuals that pass through here every day. And it's just passing through. They don't stay, they don't live here, they pass through here. And so, yes, we're trying to catch up to that. I know that the city manager has assigned 2 new individuals solely and focusing on the downtown area only. A lot of our efforts are also into having a graffiti mobile now that's going to be dedicated to focusing on cleaning up the graffiti in the City of Calexico. So we are trying. It is not anything different than what I just explained to you now, and it is unique. We are trying to make those things better, and I think that we've all focused on bringing those negative issues out about our city once enough. And I think that actually what our citizens are looking for are solutions. So I'm rather going to be working now to look for solutions, because the city has gone through quite a bit last year, and it's evidenced by the presence of so many different agencies that are here to assist us, that want to see us survive, and not only survive, they want to see us thrive. So those different agencies are here with us. They're not necessarily babysitting us, but taking care of us. We need to respect that. And these items about wanting to remove the city manager at this point and removing our chief Bostic at this point, it's just really getting old. I really think that we need to just let go of that argument and let this city heal. And many of us have differences on that viewpoint. And it's an overall issue of where have we been? Where were we last year? And why is it that we were in the news so much? It's because this city needs to heal, and I think we just need to let that go and move on. The citizens deserve that, and we have so much potential that all we're doing here is continuing to make the citizens much more concerned about the stability. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hurtado. Mr. Real.
I just want to concur with Councilman Castro on the car show. I think it was a great turnout. I've been to the last 3 or 4 of them, and this year it was definitely, there's a lot of people there. It was very well orchestrated and very nice cars, a lot nicer cars than the prior years. I want to congratulate the mayor on his State of the City. It was beautiful. And
Thank you.
It made, Calexico did a very good job on the video. I also want to talk a little bit about, as far as the things I have publicly stated, and the words out there that I want to change things up. And that's what I ran for. I ran for city council because I wanted change for the city. And I see some police officers, some fire department, and some staff, and I just want to let them know that it's, if I've made it seem that some people say, well, Councilman Real wants to privatize everything in the city and move things around, I am open to opening up the discussions on certain privatization, because I don't think anybody's brought it up in a long time, or ever. And so it's something to look into that might not be the best option for our city. And that's all it is. It's just bringing options. As of right now, I have talked to Mr. Sean Acuna, the president of the POA. We have talked about showing my support for them trying to get the police department back on track, and I hope that happens. I have also let them know on the attorneys, I hope they make that change pretty soon. I also have some things I would like to have on the agenda, on the future agenda. One of them is business owners have been coming to me talking about the sign ordinance and the flags. And so I would like to know if any council member has also received the complaints about that and would like to have that on future agendas.
I concur.
Well,
Yes.
all right, you got one.
concur? Okay. And
But I think we'd go to planning first, to study planning and then have the,
for the flags?
yeah, because the sign code is under planning commission, correct, Mr.? I know, but I'd rather have them study it in depth.
Just as a stalling tactic.
Right. Right. But I think we should utilize the service of the planning commission.
Well, I concur with Mr. Reals,
Okay.
so let's have
Okay,
a
so
next
we'll
meeting.
bring up the discussion on the ordinances. There's also the water drop box. I would like to have that on the agenda as well. Does anybody else want to have that on the agenda?
It says in
To
public
bring the water
meetings.
drop box back?
We'll just put the water drop box back.
Okay.
I mean,
Also,
we've reached a point where, you know what,
Okay.
we'll just put it back.
Another thing is I would like to have, I would like a possible discussion or possible action on a forensic audit of our city. It hasn't been done, and I don't know if ever, and I would know if any other council member would like to have that done.
Let's you and I meet to discuss that further. Would you like to?
Well, I would like to know if any other, I
I don't
concur on
recall.
that.
you don't? You do?
Well, you have a
No, I'm
concurrence.
concur on that,
You
Mr.
concur on that? And
Real.
also, I want to say the city manager and police chief have done a great job in the city of Calexico. I think it's time that we finish up their contracts and get that done. So I would like to put on the next agenda, the city manager proposed contract for transparent purposes to the people, and the police chief's contract also, so we can vote on that and get this over with. It's becoming what's that? The proposed. We can still negotiate.
I
but
think it's
the
a personnel
proposed.
issue, Mr. Beamer, on that
Beamer,
item.
is that?
There is a finalized proposed agreement by the city manager and the police chief. If those are the two contracts,
Yeah, yes. Okay.
if they are the ones that were presented, they could go
Does
onto the
anybody else want to
agenda.
put that on the agenda?
Mr. Attorney, I'm sorry to call you Mr. Beamer. I was under the understanding that we were going to be switching negotiating teams.
That would have to be voted on with a subcommittee. Right now, it's Councilmember Real
I thought we had
and the
voted that
mayor.
already.
That would have to be addressed to change the subcommittee.
I thought we had addressed that already.
We haven't had closed session. That has to happen in closed session, is that correct?
We can do it in open on an agenda item, but that's not on the agenda today. We would have to agendize and
Okay.
change the subcommittee.
Okay, right
So-
now, hold on, Mr. Real. Right now, Mr. Kim has asked for 2 items be placed on the closed session item for the next meeting. And you're requesting another item on the
I'm
closed session?
requesting to get the city manager and police chief contract out here so we can vote on it. I mean, the proposed contract, so we can,
Would we need to meet in closed session
does somebody else
before?
want that to?
At the closed session, dismissal, hiring, so we can talk with that.
Okay, it's already on there, Mr. Real.
No, but that's a dismissal and.
No, it's
No, no.
all together, hovering language.
You could have a separate contract negotiation thing.
So 3 items on closed session. Is that correct?
My recommendation is you have a closed session to finalize, so we know exactly what contracts are going on the agenda, then a public agenda item to conform to the government code so that you have the correct agreements, and the city manager and the police chief's agreements must be
that's-
approved in public session.
But
Okay.
that's closed session. We have to come to public session to tell the people what the proposed
Contracts are?
are, correct?
That is correct.
So that's what I was asking for, to get the proposed contracts out to the public so that they know where we're at.
But Mr. Mayor, first I would suggest a closed session prior to the open session to make sure that the terms and conditions are acceptable, then you bring them to public session
Okay,
for vote. That's what the government code requires.
all right. Is that okay?
That's it? Well, as long as we get this wrapped up.
Okay. Thank you. Jesse Gallardo, you had something in public comments, but we passed you by again. This is the second time you submitted late. But I'll tell you what, you want to come up and have 3 minutes? All right. Sorry. Anybody else want 3 minutes? Mr. Hermosillo, since I'm opening it for him, I'll open it for you, and now I'll close it. Olivia, you want 3 minutes? Okay, there's 9 minutes to go. Go ahead. Let me reset.
Members of the council, general public, just 2 things that I noticed. One, I think we need, as a community, as a council, to be a little bit more professional when it comes to communicating. Because you said you gave him a call to Mr. Castro one time, and that's it. And I think it was something important. I think you should have tried again. If he did answer the call, an email. If he did answer an email, I don't know, send someone over. Just more communication. And with Mr. Warren, city manager, same thing. You said you texted him on an answer, or you asked a question via text. I think a phone call would be better, and an email to have on record. Because, I mean, you guys are our leaders. You know what I'm saying? We're not in high school anymore. You know, we cannot WhatsApp it, nor Facebook it. I think those kind of issues, questions that need something done, should be done via phone call, via visit here in front of everyone with the city clerk, or just something not that, unprofessional. Just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo.
Guillermo Hermosillo, 11.
Mr. Hermosillo.
Margarita.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, on the way I know you guys voted the future agenda items away, but sitting from there, everybody's having a difficult time with it. You should bring that item back, the future agenda items. Things would be easier because I can see everybody struggling, well, except you, Mr. Mayor, to put items on the agenda, and it shouldn't be like that. These people are there to represent us, and they should be able to put items on the agenda to bring out to the public or for vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hermosillo. And one more?
Good evening, Olivia Valenzuela, resident. Thank you for bringing back the Dropbox. I use it a lot, and a lot of my fellow senior citizens do as well. Another thing that I wanted to mention, there is a vacant lot, a huge property behind Alcon Court, over there by Escalante Plaza. And it's full of trash, and it's full of dry,
Tumbleweeds.
dry leaves, and there's a lot of, I think it's a fire hazard. And then over the weekend, since Friday, I don't know who it was in that area, but they were popping firecrackers every hour on the hour, up until yesterday morning at 2:30 in the morning. And where was the police department? I don't know. I'm sure that they were busy doing other things, but at 2:30 in the morning, popping firecrackers in that area where the tumbleweeds are so dry,
Could you give me the address of the location again?
I don't have the exact address. It's behind, it's the vacant lot that's behind Escalante Plaza and Rockwood Avenue, before you hit the bridge.
You know where that is? Okay.
So it's.
Oh, I know where that is, yeah.
So please, we've cleaned it once upon a time, a long time ago, as part of social work, social service work. But somebody, I don't know who owns the property. If it's privately owned, then I suggest that the city find the property owner, make it clean it up, or the city clean it up, and then build a property owner, because we're required to keep our lots clean. So why not do the same thing there? Okay? Thank you so much.
The abandoned house, is that?
No, it's not a house.
It's an industrial park.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a huge property. It's vacant.
Okay.
But it's full of, tumbleweeds.
What's the 1020 there, Mr. Lieutenant?
La ley del monte.
Like Pisto Point back in the day?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
And you know why they call it that, because they go and they do whatever they do there. But I don't appreciate being awake and at 1:30 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, midnight firecrackers, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Especially it's knowing that it's illegal.
Okay, we'll have Lieutenant Gerardo on it. Thank you. Moving on to consent calendar.
I'll get together with Gerardo.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Servin.
For code enforcement.
Okay. You got it. Consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are to be considered routine by the City Council, Calexico Redevelopment Agency, successor agency, or financing authority, and will be reenacted or enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately by the City Council. On the consent calendar, I have items 5 through 11. Would any member like to remove an item?
Second to remove.
Okay, I'm sorry. Who wants to remove an item?
I want a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Well, I want to put the 10 and 11.
He wants to remove 10 and 11. Anyone else like to remove an item? Seeing that there's none, Mr. Real, will you motion from 5 to 9?
Motion to approve 5 to 9.
Is there a second by Ms. Hurtado? Did you second that?
I seconded the other one.
Oh, well,
That's fine.
okay, she'll second this one. Please vote. And Mr. Castro, this is consent calendars 5 through 9.
Frank, nine.
Mr. Kim pulled 10 and 11.
How many?
10 and 11 of the consent Mr. Kim had pulled. This is for the approval of a consent calendar.
Okay.
And motion carries unanimously. Okay, Mr. Kim, number 10 is the approval of transfer of 2.26 acres from the Calexico Foreign Trade Zone designation to GE Exports located at 701 Cesar Chavez Boulevard and 224 Grant Street, Calexico. What is your question on this item, Mr. Kim?
This one is mini. I'd like to have some staff explanation on this one.
We have the people coming forward, Mr. Kim.
Hello, thank you for having me here today. I am the Foreign Trade Zone consultant for the for the JPA. The number 10 that's on the ballot today is to take current designated foreign trade zone space that is located at the airport and to transfer it to a private business that wishes to activate and utilize the foreign trade zone program to create financial and logistical benefits for their business and their clients.
Are you referring to this map here?
No, that's the land swap for the airport.
Is there a map that you're referring to?
Yes, the supporting documentation with the agenda has the map.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Kim, you may continue.
So the owner of the airport areas, they're moving to the Grand Street.
Yes, so the property is owned by the city, and the designation of that property is being moved to JE Exports, which is the business owner, so that they can utilize and benefit from the foreign trade zone program.
So the item on question would be right along Second Street toward the, or is it all these blue areas?
Yes, all of the blue areas is the designated foreign trade zone space at the airport. And we would be moving 2.26 acres of that designation to JE Exports, 2 locations.
Can we get your name for the record?
Yes, my name is David Harlow. I'm with ITC Diligence.
And what, I'm sorry, Mr. King, I don't mind you infringing on your questions. Those 2.26 acres are located where? On the map?
They're located at the airport.
Oh, okay, I see now. Which is that long strip?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Which ends at the New River?
Yes.
Okay, any other questions? This was the other right.
Yeah, this one for the move to the other side.
Any other questions, Mr. Kim?
I had one question. So it's not a land swap, it's just renaming the zoning to be able to, is it tax benefits that with foreign
Yes.
trade zone? Is that pretty much? the
That's
reason?
correct,
Okay.
yes.
And is there businesses on this land as of now?
At the airport, there's not businesses that are utilizing this program at the airport currently.
Okay.
The businesses that we're moving the designation to, there is a business at each property that wants to utilize the program immediately.
This is a great economic development tool, and I want to commend Julia and our consultant for working with this company to help them get the tax credits to provide jobs, income, and taxes, to our community. They've really done a good job, and this is one of the economic development tools we have, and so I would strongly recommend that we go ahead. All we're doing is just taking a designation from the airport and moving it over to this person's property. There's no land transfer.
This has nothing to do with
The land swap.
No.
LAVCO, not.
Grand Plaza. We're going to deal with that later on in the agenda.
Okay.
So this one is,
Can I move there to get tax credits?
yeah, looks like this one has what's called by the map, this area is one of the map is like Fufules, sitting down here.
No.
Before the Fufules then?
No, that's on the railroad. See the railroad track?
No, it's on Grant Street. And then one's on Cesar Chavez by the railroad. There's 2 separate locations.
Are all the owners of these properties aware of this? Do
Yes, they
have
are.
to be notified in writing, or they?
This
They
is
have
Cesar
to-
Chavez.
Yes, for
Because they're
now,
all not all the same owner.
no. For now, the city council needs to approve just the transfer of the program to these people. However, these people will have to apply and go through a background check. They have to go through the U.S. Customs, and then the application is also sent to the U.S. government for approval.
I motion for its approval.
Moved by Mr. Real. Is there a second? I'll second it. Please vote. All those in, there it is. And it carries unanimously 5-0. Going on to item 11.
Thank you.
Which is, you're welcome, which is the approval of the TDA article AE, application, claim, and resolution for $17,647. TDA, number B, TDA article AE, application, claim, and resolution for $25,000. And item C, TDA article 3, application, claim, and resolution for $30,707. Mr. Kim, you have questions on this item?
So this one we will be receiving every year?
Yes, we're allocated, Transportation Development Act money comes from a quarter-cent sales tax that's adopted statewide. The program is somewhat complicated, but let me just say this. We are allocated a certain amount of Transportation Development Act funds. procedures for having the funds sent to us require city council approval. So these are funds already allocated to us. We just need to have city council approval in order to have the funds sent, or a check sent to us and deposited in the finance department.
Motion for its approval.
So
Second. Please vote.
So we're going to have the bus stops to maintenance.
Please, yes, please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Going on to item number 12. Discussion on potential action items. Number 1, consideration of potential Calexico Code of Ethics violations by Councilmember Luis Castro. And number 2, consideration of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Calexico reprimanding and censuring Councilmember Castro for violating the City Code of Ethics and stripping him of all council assignments. A little bit of backup information, Mr. City Manager, and then I'll get to the public comments.
Yes, there is a staff report reporting what took place. There is also a video which the citizens would like to show so that the council and the public is aware of what took place. They've requested to show that. My recommendation would be we allow it to proceed. However, it is graphic. If you're easily offended or you have children, you may want to leave the room. So I know you have some children, you may. So with your permission, Mayor, we'll let them proceed.
Okay. That was it, okay? Okay, for public comments, and we will set the timer for 3 minutes. Go ahead and reset it for 3 minutes. Ms. Maribel Padilla, and then after her, we have Mr. Abelardo Perez.
Yes. I want to talk about last meeting where you decided to give Mr. Castro a pass, where you guys went out in the lobby, played in the sandbox, kissed and made up, shook hands, and it was over. You dismissed it. You forgot that I had a complaint. I didn't dismiss it. He didn't apologize. You dismissed and forgot about all the people, the 12 people that came up here. 3 of us spoke. 9 of them put their name in, they were in agreement to reprimand him. But you all shook hands. This is why Calexico is the laughingstock of the Imperial Valley. Because only in Calexico do the compadres shake hands and it's all over with. Okay? You told me, you asked me to file a complaint. For what? So you could dismiss me, so you could dismiss the people that wanted him reprimanded the last time, so you could shake hands back then and that'd be it? You also told me I needed to afford him another chance. He had 2 other chances. He called Ben Horton the N-word, chance number 1. He called you, assisting in the Ivy Press, chance number 2. Calling you clown, flipping me off, was chance number 3. You wanted to give him, what was it, an olive branch? We know exactly what he did with the olive branch that you afforded him. Now he goes and tells Lalo Perez, who's the rival transit company, you know, maricón, which means faggot for all of you that don't understand. Mámame la verga, which means kiss my dick. He said it. He said it.
Mr. Gallardo,
He
Mr.
said it.
Gallardo, Mr. Castro, please refrain from saying anything in the public.
No,
Then well,
he told you to walk out if you had a problem with it, so walk out.
Go ahead.
You saw the video. That's what he did with the olive branch. At what point does CoCLXC become professionals? Yeah, you can wear a suit, Mr. Castro, but we see what you do out in the streets. He might be your rival company, but he's a citizen. He has business here, and you have voted constantly against him. So yes, he's upset. And he was telling you, he was explaining to you why he was taking video and pictures. You were the first one to call him a maricón. He didn't call you first if you see that video. You did it. You are the councilman, not Mr. Perez. You signed the code of ethics, not Mr. Perez. So you are supposed to be above all that. Quit being a naco and act like a councilman. And look at your code of ethics. Learn them. Quit making us the laughingstock of the Imperial Valley. You need to be reprimanded. I hope to God that today you don't give him a pass again. You don't shake hands. You don't kiss and make up. Enough. Enough.
Thank you, Ms. Padilla. Mr. Perez, you are next. Following him is Mr. Ben Horton.
Abelardo Perez, resident of El Centro. And good evening, everyone here. And yeah, I was the one taking the video. As I was going down Grand Street, I see Mr. Castro working on his bus. And it's actually his bus, you know, like I said before. I had bring 3 times transportation items to the agenda of the city council, which took me a hard time and a lot of time spending at the city just to bring an item to the agenda on the transportation matter. And the 2 times that I was here, I asked Mr. Castro generously to recuse himself from voting on this matter, because everyone here knows, and I know everyone knows, that he is the owner of this transportation service, not his son. You actually spend more time, Mr. Castro, on the business than your son, and you know it. I seen you around, and you said that I take pictures of you. Of course I'm taking pictures of you, because you affected my company 2 times by not recusing yourself from voting against me. And the only way for me to prove it, that you have a conflict of interest, is recording you on that, on the time. You know, the time that I took a picture of you driving the bus, the time that I took a picture of you, you know, at the hub on First Street, you know, working on one of your buses, and now this. And I wasn't gonna tell you any bad words. I was just gonna ask you the next time that I bring an item, you know, which is probably gonna be pretty soon, for you to recuse yourself from voting because you have a conflict of interest. You are the owner of that one company, and you know it, okay?
Thank you.
And don't thank me, recuse yourself. You know, I don't appreciate what you said to me, because I had never disrespect you in any way. I had never said any bad words to you, and you know it. And a few months, 2 years ago, September 23rd, remember? You got off the podium, and what do you tell me? You don't know who you're messing with. You're gonna regret it. I pick up a police report against you. And what happened? Nothing happened. Last week, someone is doing a job here. Last week, you pick up a report against me because supposedly I was threatening you, and I was trying to start a fight with you. And, you know, they're doing their job at the police department. They came to me and asked me, you know, what was happening. But on the other hand, you know, every time I reported you or reported your son, who tried to hire someone to damage my buses, and I had a witness, they didn't do anything because there was a different administration. Okay, but that was it. I wasn't gonna tell you any bad words. I was just trying to prove that you have a conflict of interest. It's your company.
Thank you, Mr. Abelardo Perez.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Mr. Horton, and then Ms. Janita Farias.
Ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished members of the council, here we are again. But I just want to say one thing. We put our elected officials at a high standard. The performance is there. Let the performance speak for itself. We expect our elected officials to be leaders. We expect them to do and to be above any kind of reproach. And I remember a couple of months ago, there was a owner of a basketball team, the Clipperds. He said he didn't want any minorities in his basketball games. To his girlfriend, who happened to be half Hispanic and half black. The NBA had him to sell his team. They had standards. Here as a city, and I was born in Calexico, I love this city. I expect when they say only in Calexico, it's with pride. But the city council, you have to police your own. And what kind of standards are you going to tell the public here? What kind of standards do we adhere to? We expect you to police your own. You passed this code of ethics, and I'm on the Economic Commission. I have to live by it. I have to adhere to it. Now, is anybody above what the regulations? Did you sign something just to go through the ceremony of signing it? Or did you sign something that you were going to live by and police your own? In Washington, they police their own. They have censored people and senators and congressmen, House of Representatives before. They go through a whole situation, and they do it. I wonder if this council has the moral fiber and fortitude in order to do what is to be done and send a message out to the people of Calexico, yes, we will do what's right, we will police our own. Now, Mr. Castro is elected. Mr. Perez is not elected. He should be living at a very high standard. And I say to all of you, you expect your elected officials to be the example for the city of Calexico. That's why we elect them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Horton. Ms. Farias is next, and then Mr. Jovan Castro will be at this podium.
I just want to say that I was missing from the last council meeting because I was out of town, and I wanted to speak in reference to the gesture that Mr. Castro made, and he did make it, I saw it. I was standing back there with Maribel, and I saw him flip her off. I am farsighted. I saw it very clearly. For you to say it did not happen is a lie. It is a bald-faced lie. It is a joke, the way you behave yourself up there. It is a joke. You're making a joke of our city. It's embarrassing. But I want you to know, Mr. Castro, that as a result of the vulgar gesture that you made to Maribel, you have guaranteed that for the rest of your life, the most remarkable thing you will ever have gotten up is less than 4 inches long and permanently attached to your right hand.
Thank you, Ms. Castro. I'm sorry, Ms. Farias. I'm sorry. Jovan Castro, you were next. I was reading your name. I apologize. Okay, could you reset the timer?
Jovan Castro. I just want to know who's going to reprimand and censor the lies that Mr. Abelardo says that I'm trying to burn his buses. That's ridiculous. That's defamation of myself, and that's another reason. And who's going to censor Ms. Padilla with all her vulgar language and what that lady? Who's going to censor her? I mean, it was nice. The meeting was very nice, but then she started talking with all her obscene language, and it switched everything. So that's all. Censor them, please.
Excuse me, Ms. Maria.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Reset the timer. Leticia Sosa and then Francina de Necochea Gonzalez is after Ms. Leticia Sosa. Ms. Sosa, are you here? She's in favor, but would not like to speak? Okay, thank you. We'll take that for the record. In favor of the recommendation to reprimand, censure Mr. Castro. Ms. Francina Gonzalez, in favor, would you like to speak? In favor of the recommendation, but would not like to speak, Francina de Necochea Gonzalez. And then I have Ms. Suje Quesada? Okay. Please reset the timer.
Hello, good evening. My name is Suje Quesada, and my address is 1233P Ratchet Street. Basically, what I saw on the video and based on what I saw on the city council meeting is that there's always, there's been a fight almost all the single time. And I just want to ask the city council members and the community to try to work together. I think this is not the place to be just showing videos. I had my son here so we will learn what is it to be at the city council. Now, another thing. It is very easy to get videos and all that, and as we know, in educated people in university, anywhere, even in schools, we cannot rely very much on videos that are taken by people, and we cannot rely on videos that are on internet because they can be photoshopped, they can have, they do not have reliable information. Even at CURT, they have special and strict investigation on certain things. And it's very easy to come over here and put that information here. And today I was trying to teach my son what is it to be at the city council, what are the information, what is it that the people come here, and what is it that we need to be doing as citizens to teach our kids. I didn't like the fact that I had to take out my son out of the city council, and you know what, this is not what I want for the city. I want better response to the questions of the people, of the citizens, and I want a better Calexico. I want the streets to be beautiful, not to be just packed. I want the restrooms clean. I want the city, the front, the first, second street to be beautified. We need to work together, not you, or them. It's us. All of us, we're responsible of what we do, what we say, and what we want in the future. It's not his, it's not her, it's not myself only. If we want to make a video, okay, let's have every single city council on that video to say, yes, Calexico is going to have a new port of entry. Yes, Calexico is going to have a new pool. Yes, Calexico is going to have this other thing. It's everyone. It's a collaboration. The word is collaboration. I need to see that here. I need to see that for the future of our kids. Thank you, and I want to support each one of you, and I support each one of you, but I want to see collaboration for everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Quesada. Ms. Marlene Thomas.
Marlene Thomas. I really wasn't going to speak tonight, but as Joanne said, there became a shift in the atmosphere and stuff. So let me quickly say what I hope I can get everything out. Number one, I take no sides. I like and love all of you up there. I deal with the issues. And I think it's very important that as leaders, we need to talk about leadership. And we've had an absence of leadership here because we're fighting. And I am a product of Calexico, and I'm very proud of Calexico, but for the past year and a half, 2 years, it's become an embarrassing situation. And it is ridiculous for every meeting that at least once a month that is always targeted towards Castro or targeted towards Kim. The real reality of it, the people outside of the boundaries of Calexico, they don't look at Kim and they don't look at Castro, they look at all of you. And we need to get together some kind of way. We need to come together as leaders. That's why you're elected. And the other part I want to say, because I'm watching this clock, is that to strip someone is just totally ridiculous. This man has been elected 6 months after this election, you do a recall, the recall fails, and you're still at it. It's an obsession, and you need to stop this. Calexico is an economic disaster area. You have no banks. Your school is in trouble. And you go on and on and on, and all we talk about is Castro and buses. And finally, we keep talking about, that Mr. Castro owns the city bus, the buses. Let me say this. I've been in that particular arena myself. Mr. Castro has, look, if any of you have evidence other than a video that he is the owner of the transportation system, step forward, and then we can move on it. But the video and the negative words and just the rumors, it doesn't work. It does not work. So I'm telling you right now, for those of you who feel that he is the owner, step up with documentation, not rumors, not your subjective opinion. Step forward and present it to the city manager, or to the attorney, or to the mayor, that you have the documentation that he is not the legal owner that he is the legal owner of the transportation system. We need to quit this. We really need to quit this and come together. The council, Maritza said it very well early, we need to get together. You guys need to get together and work, set aside your little differences, and work for the betterment of the city of Calexico. We need financial systems. We need to upgrade our schools. We need recreation for our children. We don't need to be talking about Castro and buses every city council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to bring it back to the council for direction, discussion, or possible action. I think we've seen enough. Is there a motion on this item? Mr. Kim, go ahead.
Before I make the motion, I'd like to have a little speech and little written statements. And first of all, I agree with the community members. We are the one council member. We are representing the community. We should be taking care of our business seriously, to taking care of citizens' benefit, not fighting each other's. We are keep doing this. So we turn around from our duty. We're spending a lot of time for arguing each other, fighting our departments. We should not do that. And I make the written statements. June Kim, 2003, First East Street, Calexico, California. To the city clerk, Gabriela.
Do you have copies of that for all of us?
Yes.
Can you provide that, please?
Richard Won, city manager, John Moreno, mayor, and Steve Bohemier, the city attorney. Dear Deputy City Clerk, regarding the City Calexico Resolution number 2015-08, which was passed, adopted, and approved on February 3rd, 2015 by the City Council of the Calexico. I, Jung S. Kim, City Councilman, hereby rescind my vote and the signature on these issues. As I have discovered along with many others, this resolution was a fraud and is being used as a political tool to humiliate the people. I'm not playing the game, and I will tell the truth. It's not being used for the public good. All I am witnessing is hypocrisies and the false statements. Signed, Jung S. Kim. This, I want to read this in the agenda at the minute. I'll rescind my signature and etiquette. That's is a fraud.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
I guess I'll add my 2 cents worth. Ms. Quesada, I really appreciate you coming in your fresh face here and a fresh perspective, but probably not all of the perspective of what we've been dealing with here on the council. The issue is here, and I think that the anger that these citizens have brought forward today with wanting this item is that in the past, probably I'll say about the last 3 years or so, there have been several issues on transportation coming to this council. Transportation in the city of Calexico is very important
because not only are we picking up a lot of individuals coming in from Mexicali, but also that we have to transport those individuals farther north and vice versa. Each item that has come onto this council agenda with regard to transportation has been hell. And I say that because it has been a fight where certain council members have ridiculed, have offended, have embarrassed every single agency that has come to this dais to ask for transportation opportunities in the city of Calexico. Those agencies also include the county services, which are led by Mr. Mark Baza, a very fine gentleman, very well regarded in the transportation area. So each time that a transportation company comes to this city that requires growth in that area, they get shot down, they get humiliated, they get intimidated. And all because there's some special interest going on in this council to be able to avoid other companies coming to Calexico. And I believe that that's where you see the anger in the citizens with regard to the conflict of interest denial that exists here. Because there is a conflict of interest when your whole city is seeing a certain council member behave in a way where there is an interest, a very deep interest, into the 40-year-old bus company that the city of Calexico has had. Now, is it fair to block out every other single, or want to block out every other single transportation company that wants to come to the city of Calexico? Of course not. That's why we can't grow. And that's why conflict of interest laws and rules exist, so that the individuals that are in power that vote here at this dais do not vote with special interests in mind. So every time, if you knew the experience and what we've seen here, and you can go ahead and go to the recordings, you will see that each time that there has been, Mr. Perez's opportunity was 6 months in the making. It was only days before the outlets opened, and we were giving him a really hard time. And so those words were exchanged, and all those difficulties arose because of a lack of consideration for conflict of interest rules. And so each time that any of us here as decision makers in the city of Calexico has a conflict of interest, we need to remove ourselves. At one given point, Mr. Castro did accept the conflict of interest, and he did remove himself, only once. After that, there have been many different opportunities that other transportation companies have want to bring to Calexico, and they have been just completely humiliated by this council. Now, if the city of Calexico wants to grow in their transportation needs, which our transportation needs are extreme and heavy, we're going to keep growing, then are we going to continue allowing for our members to deny the fact that they do have conflicts of interest and push our citizens to madness of wanting to record him and wanting to be proving that he does have a conflict? That is where we're at. And so I know that any of you that has something against what I just said, be my guest, come in and let us know your opinion on that. But those of us that follow this council and know the difficulties of this council, conflict of interest here in this council has been a lot of that problem. And I myself, for example, as a council member, I get approached by people all the time and tell me, why do you let that happen? Why do you stand there and let these individuals basically lie to the community? So it's hard for us as representatives as well to sit here and know that it's happening. So the anger that you see out there is because we are not taking our job seriously and not recognizing conflict of interest and respecting our community. It's not happening. And when that doesn't happen, then you're breaking down the reason why you exist as a government. And this government needs to help the city to grow, and it needs to help it to repair from all of the damage that caused last year. And so when we don't go forward with recognizing that, I think like you just said, the simple thing, recuse yourself. So as far as my 2 cents worth, that was a lot, but I know it hurts and I know it upsets certain people, but we have to think of the greater good. And the greater good is allowing the city to grow with great transportation because the opportunities are out there. There's lots of money out there with the county and lots of people that are interested in coming to the city. This council should not in any way disturb or hinder this growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hurtado. Anyone else like to comment on this item? No. It's just the council. Seeing that there's none, I'll call for the question. No, you've already commented. You'll get one chance.
Censor me again.
No, we've seen enough. We've discussed enough. I think we need to take a vote.
Mayor, may I speak?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Señor Abelardo Pérez, he stopped his bus in the middle of the street to instigate me with offensive language. I reacted and I did the same. He approached to me and I responded the attack. I'm apologize with the community because I use offensive language to the community. And not apologize because I was defending myself. I filed a police report because he's harassing, he already admitted, he's been making time to look for Señor Castro. He made that, he said that a few minutes ago. Also, the police department told me that report, that report goes to the district attorney's office, another report. Also, back then in December, her wife, she also stopped the bus in the middle of the street and she took some pictures again of Mr. Castro. So I being harassed by these people, and that's something that sometimes you can support. I mean, that's the reason I made a report to the police department. And you know what? The majority, I believe, the majority of this council, the people, they don't want to see those kind of videos. I feel embarrassing to open those videos here in a chamber. I mean, that's something very serious. But these people, they don't know what's embarrassing. They don't know. They don't know what means embarrassing. You know what? They've been talking about conflicts of interest. Since 2008, my son, he bought the business. So he's the owner since 2008. And the same people, it's the same people. They mentioned there is a conflict. Okay? So I don't know, someone mentioned they had to prove it. They had to prove it. But to take picture, to harass Señor Castro, that's not how do you say, that's not healthy. That's not healthy. But because guess what? Imagine one of you, someone harassed you once, 2, 3, 4 times, many times. I believe I made a mistake. I used offensive language. I thought that this is a man. I didn't say that to a kid, to a woman, to a senior. I spoke with a man. But guess what? He was harassing me again. And like I told you, her wife, she did the same issue. She took a picture, she stopped the bus and took a picture of me. That's mean harassment. That's mean something against Mr. Castro. And I really apologize to my people, to this community, because I use offensive language. But I'm not going to apologize because I'm defending myself, because someone think, or someone probably he is scared, or I don't know what. Today probably 1 o'clock, I went to Econ to buy some parts, and I was online to make the payment for those parts. Guess what? Who was in front of me? Abelardo Pérez. Abelardo Pérez was in front of me. guess what? And I saw him, he saw me, he didn't say nothing. Guess what? Probably because he didn't use the camera, or he didn't be a man enough to tell me something. I don't know. But I'm still here. And you know what? I already told you, I respect my college, their decision. I respect, first of all, my people. And I'm mature enough to confront these problems. They have the decision. I agree to disagree, and they can make any decision what they want. But let me tell you one thing. The law is for everybody. The law is for everybody, not for Castro. And you know what? Probably in another cities, in another countries, you know what? This is something. I mean, in my culture, I mean, we can fix this problem different way. But you know what? I think I'm dealing with a kid. But yeah, the city council, you can make the decision. You can make the decision, but the right decision. And
I'll call for the question.
like I told you,
There's
there's
a call for the question.
May I finish,
We
Hurtado?
have to add, is there a second for the call for the question?
I want to comment.
Okay, finish up, Mr. Castro, because we've got other items on the agenda. And I think we got the point, but finish up.
Well, I'm done, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Real, please go.
One thing that Ms. Hurtado stated about the council, I've been here for about 4 or 5 months, and so to me, it's a new council, even though most of them have been here for many years already. Just wanted to read something, and it says, "Those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future." I know that as council members, we should not be screaming at people on the streets, any type of foul language. I myself have been, I don't know if to call it harassment or not, but I myself have had people come up to me and be angry, maybe even get in my face and disrespect me. But it takes a bigger person to just say, you know what, I'm the elected official here, and I will restrain myself from making a fool out of myself. And we do, as council members, we are the face of CoCLXC here and in other cities as well. But with that said, I've been here, like I said, 5 months. I am in shock of how this city council is so divided. I mean, the Pope himself could not create peace here. I am still trying to work together with my council, but it's extremely hard. I want everybody to know that. But we should respect each other, all of us. We need to, the citizens, constituents, and the city council need to understand that, you know, there's 5 people up here, 5 different mindsets, 5 different attitudes, 5 different people. It's hard enough to have, in marriage, 2 people get along, let alone 5. We need to agree to disagree, move forward. It is, we should be ashamed as a city to have this on the agenda, period. But it's here, and we need to move forward, and that's all I gotta say.
Thank you, Mr. Real.
God bless us.
Yes, he will. I'm a little disappointed at all that has transpired over the last couple of weeks. I think this could have been avoided had Mr. Castro had the clear conscience to step down when it was a transportation issue. I think if he had done that right thing, and it's not us to prove that he owns the company, it's for him because it's his son, just step down. 2 weeks ago, my brother has been working with the city and Wells Fargo and trying to work with the banks and providing that service. Without question, I stepped down. I don't want anything perceived to be as a conflict of interest. The perception that a son, a brother, a wife, a mother, or a family member is involved in a situation and has a business thereof, remove yourself. He did it one time, but after that, he didn't do it. He felt that maybe I don't have. But only he knows that he has a conflict of interest, and he does. His son is the owner. He said it. So this could have been avoided. And we wouldn't have had this broken down relationship between owners of bus companies. If I had been in my business of selling groceries and there was an item on the agenda for a grocery store to open, I would have to remove myself instead of stay on the dais and vote on the item, which will later on create this bad blood. So I would hope, and I had said it before, that Mr. Castro, just please recuse yourself. We'll all vote on the item. We might even approve it if you recuse yourself. And that, I think, is the logical thing, the honest thing to do. So I'm appalled at what has transpired. I said what I'm going to say, and now I'm going to call for the question. The item on the floor is the consideration of the potential Calexico Code of Ethics violations by Councilmember Luis Castro, and 2, consideration of resolution of the City Council of the City of Calexico reprimanding and censuring, which I believe mean the same thing, Councilmember Castro for violating the City Calexico Code of Ethics and stripping him of all his City Council assignments. Is there a motion on this item?
Motion to not to approve it.
Okay, there's a motion to not approve by Mr. Kim. Is there a second? Motion dies for lack of a second. Now I'm going to bring it back on this item I just read. Is there a motion to approve this item?
Motion to approve the censorship or reprimand so that would be 1 or A or 1?
Would be, would you address the stripping him of all council assignments?
Not of, like, you mean the
He serves on hospital, Heffernan Hospital, and he serves on the Parks Subcommittee?
I mean, he's only on 2 committees. Each of us are on like 4 or 5. We'd have to take those jobs from him.
So you're only motioning on the reprimand and the censuring, but leaving...
Censorship, reprimand.
And leaving him on those committees?
There's 2 committees he's on.
To my knowledge, yes.
Yes.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
A second.
Motion by Real, second by Hurtado. Please vote. And motion carries 3-1
Mayor,
with Mr. Castro non-voting.
let me ask you again. Can you repeat the motion, please?
The motion is to reprimand you and censor you for this particular behavior, for violating the Code of Ethics. And I believe it's items 3, 4, and 5, the principle 3, 4, and 5 on the item. But you would remain on the subcommittee of the park, and you would remain on the Heffernan Healthcare Memorial District.
Okay, let me ask to the city attorney. Can you elaborate more this issue, please, city attorney?
This is this is a warning. I mean, it's a reprimand, but you don't get taken away any of your rights as a council member. Correct? Is that correct?
That is correct. It's just a public reprimand. You are reprimanding him in public for the conduct and through resolution.
Yep. Okay. The motion was to approve the resolution.
Yeah, and motion carries 3-1 with Mr. Castro non-voting. Item number 13, the approve agreement for the exchange of real property and joint escrow instructions between Bordertown Investments LP and the City of Calexico, subject to final review and approval of the city manager and city attorney. And item 13, I've got several people wanting to speak. So if you will give us some background information. Let's hold on. Let's take a short recess. We're going to item number, I believe it's 13, which is the approval agreement for the exchange of real property and joint escrow instructions between Bordertown Investments LP and the City of CoCLXC, subject to final review and approval by the city manager and city attorney. I'll defer now to our city manager.
Oh. As the council is aware, the Grand Plaza developer wants to move forward with Phase 1B and 2A. They have already submitted plans to the city for the buildings and also for the engineering, and they're currently being reviewed. In addition to that, the environmental document is being circulated. In order for this project to go forward, there needs to be a land exchange, and there is a map in front of you showing how and what is to be exchanged, and we do have some copies in the back if the public would like to see. But basically, what this exchange involves is trading the blue for the purple, green, and yellow. And so we are going to trade or exchange 20.31 acres of property for 24.52 acres of property. So we're getting more property in the exchange. In addition to that, the city had its own independent appraisal done of both properties, and the purpose of that was to ensure that that the city received either comparable value or more value in the exchange, so that the taxpayers didn't lose anything. And I'm happy to announce that the exchange comes to the city at an increased value of $195,000, and that's based on the independent appraisals. So to move forward on the Grand Plaza project, we recommend that you approve this, and obviously subject to the final review and approval of the city manager and city attorney as we finalize everything. But
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Real.
Would this be Servín, the correct
yeah,
person?
well, he can come up here. We're
Okay.
both working on this.
So the appraisal was done based on square foot, just the square foot method?
They did a very in-depth analysis. We also had a separate appraiser review the analysis. So
Okay. Do you know
there's two-
what method was used, highest and best use? Just, was it just square foot method? Was it, the reason I'm asking is
Ultimately,
sometimes
yes.
a parcel of land, here we're getting 3, and we're giving 1, correct? Now, sometimes a parcel of land is worth more. For example, you have 3 pieces of land, and if somebody wants to come in and build, and they, sometimes a bigger chunk of the pie is worth more than 3 separate ones. And so that's what I was asking, if it was done by the square foot method or just, based on, you're giving me 10 acres and I'm taking 10 acres. I don't know if maybe a highest and best use analysis would be better, or, something of that nature. Do you know if that was in the appraisal? Sometimes they'll do that.
In the end, the summary was square foot by square foot, and so they did come up with figures where we're getting a better deal.
Okay.
And by the way, these are MAI appraisers, very highly qualified. We had
2 appraisers?
2 appraisers. But we put it out for proposals, and we had 3 appraisers go for it, and we chose this one appraiser, and then the secondary appraiser.
So a reviewer, underwriter,
Yes.
a review appraiser?
So we recommend approval to allow us to move forward.
I move for its approval, Mr. Mayor. Okay. If there's no other questions?
Is there any other question? I'll second.
Well,
Do you want a question, Mr.?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Kim. Go ahead, ask your question.
Well, I think Mr. Real gone to some kind of a point, and sometimes the value it depends on the location, and depends on the size. But the location very viable for raising the value. if switching the value, we switching the land, sometimes that jumping around it a couple times more higher. So right now, before the change the value, change the land, we cannot compare that land is going to be, we're going to have a more value because land what we have, that's very potential areas. We should not exchange it that to the benefit for the public. We're gonna lose a lot of value if we switch it.
Can I ask one more question? And this is, even though I believe that having the larger parcel of land is probably worth more to the city than 3, I believe that I support it just because Grand Plaza is definitely something that brings jobs and better things for the city. But if we are to approve this and Grand Plaza does not use it in a certain amount of time, can we put in the documentation it reverts back to the city?
That's already in the documents for
How many
the
years?
land development.
So how many years would
if they don't act upon the improvements, the conditions, and the final map, then it'll revert to what it is.
Do you know how many years that
Well, total outlay is about 8 years.
So
The
if in 8
City
years-
ordinance has 2 years, the state allows additional 6 years.
So if in 8 years, Grand Plaza does not build anything on that property,
But let me qualify
completely
that. Let me
swaps
qualify
back.
that. They have to come to us like they did in Phase 1 and ask for the extension. So they don't ask for the extension in 2 years from now?
The extension comes through the council?
Yes.
So they have 2 years to ask for an extension?
Yeah.
Do they have something already in the works there? Is that why?
Well, right now, I'm reviewing the plans.
Okay.
The
So-
building
okay.
plans, the building
All right,
plan.
I thought it was just something,
No.
the land swap, but they have something already in the works?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Second.
Yes.
Second for its approval.
Motion on the floor by Hurtado, seconded by Mr. Real. Please vote.
Is it a Starbucks, manager? We need another Starbucks. It's not working. There it is. All right.
Motion carries 3-2 with Mr. Kim and Mr. Castro in opposition. Oh, I'm sorry. You wanted to speak on that? And so did Ben Horton? Yeah. You guys want to stick around longer here or what? An extra 3 minutes? I'm sorry, I apologize. Okay. Okay, now we got item number 14. Discussion of potential action, city council guidance regarding dust control covering for auto storage and parking lots. And I think, Mr. Real, you had mentioned this one, but I'll defer to our city manager if they have, or city staff. Go ahead.
I'm going to have Nick Servine talk about what the current ordinance states and where you want to go from here.
The current ordinance is a little bit
Vague.
vague, yes, thank you. And I think this should be reverted over to Planning Commission for consideration, recommendation to the council. And then council, you take it up and analyze their decision and vote on that.
Is that the protocol?
Yeah, normally it is.
That is the protocol for
Okay,
making the change.
Now, the ordinance reads right now, parking lots should have covered, I know.
All-weather
All-weather surfaces.
surface.
So if we're asking for parking lots to have blacktop or cement,
Concrete.
then it's already on there. There's nothing that the city council should do. Are we just giving direction to actually implement it?
Well, it can be shown that all-weather surface an argument can be made that it could be DGA, Class 2 base, or some other surface that wears well under inclement weather.
Okay.
If in fact all you wanted was hard surface, then what you would do is you would amend the definition to take out all weather, and you would limit
This
it to.
could be done right now?
Well, We would have to still send it to the Planning Commission because it's part of the zoning ordinance, and that's part of state law of how it would have to come forward. But if, in fact, that's what the wishes of the city council, then he would carry that back to the Planning Commission, and they would work on the ordinance amendment, and then it would come back to you after a public hearing at the Planning Commission to the city council.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else on this item?
Well, why don't we just send it to the planning commission, they make the hearing, they're going to
We can
discuss
do that, and
whatever,
then they
can
can bring it.
come back to us.
I think that would
That
be a
sounds good.
great idea, Mr. Kim. Shall we do that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's,
Yes.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 15, appointment by the City Council of a resident commissioner to the Calexico Housing Authority Board.
Mayor,
Yes,
I would like to appoint Mario Acevedo for that position.
there's a motion on the floor to appoint Mario Acevedo. Is there a second? I'm sorry, motion dies for lack of a second, but I know that people had wanted to speak. We'll start with Arturo Rioseco and then Johnny Romo. 3 minutes.
Well, good
Go ahead.
evening. Arturo Rioseco, 825 East, 2nd Street, Calexico. You've already taken action before either Johnny or I got a chance to speak on behalf of or against, so you're a little quick on the gun, John. But I want to remind you that this is now the third, you're going on the fourth meeting that you have not made a decision. I urge you to not to take any more time on this. The Housing Commission is going through a very difficult time. We don't have enough budget because we haven't grown since 1970. Public housing has not grown 1 unit. As a matter of fact, we've lost 10 houses to the stock of low-income and very low-income housing that we should have. We're way behind. We don't have the budget to hire because we don't have the budget to work with because we don't have any more units. The more units you have, just like the kids in high school or in the school district, the district gets their monies from a head count. We get our monies from a unit count. We haven't grown in more than 40 years. We've lost. We need good commissioners. I urge you not to appoint commissioners because you have a political motive. Appoint people that will work well and work for the progress of the housing authority. Don't appoint a friend or someone you owe a favor to. Appoint who will be the best person in that position. And get on with it, because we do need to have a full commission. I would also take the opportunity to recommend Mr. Acevedo. He's proven himself. Now, there's complaints that he doesn't know English. Let's put that aside. There's complaints that or rumors being started somewhere that we pay $1,500 a meeting. I heard that from somewhere. It came from somewhere here, I believe. And that's just flat not true. That's just flat not true. Mr. Acevedo is a good candidate for you, for your consideration. I thank you for your time.
Can I,
Thank you, Mr. Rioseco.
can I get some clarification on the appointment to the Housing Commission? Does that have anything to do with the newly passed ordinance on the commissions, or because it's a complete separate commission?
Separate. It's
So
separate.
that has nothing to do with the city
Right,
commission?
and this is an appointment by the entire city council.
Mr. John Romo, 3 minutes.
The budget doesn't belong to you, the budget belongs to the housing authority. We hire and fire. Nothing comes out of your budget. We're funded entirely by the federal government. So don't worry about having expenses to your budget.
General fund.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Romo, go ahead, you may begin.
Okay, thank you. And again, my name is John Romo, and I am a resident of the city of CoCLXC. And I again say, good evening, council members.
Good evening.
As well as across the board, the assembly, which is the government. And that's just true. The housing authority is not an extension of the city council, so it bears no conflict of interest with any boards, commissions, or anything like that. However, I did not apply for 3 words that I mentioned in my public comments. I don't deal with personalities. I don't deal with hearsay, and I also don't deal, I deal with respect. Sometimes being disrespectful means not being accessible, acting upon hearsay, like that. And for what I'm about to say, I will not mention names because I don't deal with personalities. Right now, you don't even have a name for me. You guys don't have a name. You are the prevailing authority board that takes care of the city's policies and procedures. We have an excellent city manager here that carries a good job for you. And for that reason, however, I do want to address very quickly, because my time is up and your time is up, and I feel like going to have a coffee, which is a point of order to you, Mr. Mayor, but you should have some coffee there. Come on.
Okay.
Just bear in mind, housing authorities comes from the development, housing and urban development, which is not an extension of the city council, and therefore carries a majority of vote. Does not carry a single vote. Number 2, I did not apply to be a housing commissioner because on this, Mr. Mayor, and hopefully you can bear with me now, because 4 city officials, or 4 people from the city, have said, they tried to bribe you. Yes, they did, and I gave it to the feds. Whatever happened, happened. That was many moons again. Number 2, it's too hard to work with you, Mr. Romo. Well, has anybody tried to work with me? I don't think so. Number 3, I'm too overqualified. I know too much, and I don't. Hey, this is exactly what HUD needs, and not only HUD, but HUD and the residents. We have major concerns in the housing authorities. I'm a resident of the housing authority. I'm a resident commissioner, yet I did not apply. I did not apply. Okay. I did not apply. I was doing 2 mock trials in San Diego and in Raleigh. Anyway, I'm here to say that please pick out the best qualified commissioner. I will vouch for Mr. Acevedo because he's been on the board already. He knows a little bit more than the rest of the newcomers, if there's any. So
Thank you, Mr.
it's totally
Romo.
up to you.
Thank you.
I guess I will make the motion on to approve Mario Acevedo.
There's a motion on the floor for Mario Acevedo. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Mr. Kim. Please vote. Motion carries 3-2. Mario Acevedo is appointed. Item 16, appointment by Councilman Real to the Street Naming Committee. Is there anyone that you have, Mr. Real?
Yes, what's your name? No, I'm just Jesse Gallardo.
Jesse Gallardo,
Gallardo,
Toastmaster.
fellow Toastmaster.
Okay. Is there a vote needed on that one? Nope, he appoints. And ladies and gentlemen, at 9:18, this meeting is adjourned.